Okay.
So, hello everyone. My name is Andrea Blaga and I'm a tech lead for digital and VR at STEAMHouse. And I would like to introduce our next inspirational speaker, Adam Page. So, Adam is supporting augmented and virtual reality at STEAMHouse. His passions include all things technological, from AI to drones and beyond, but he's especially excited by AR and VR's potential to overlay previously digitally bound media onto the physical world. He is comfortable with high concept work, equally able to support projects across the spectrum and ground solutions in open source technologies that are available today. With a background in the air industry, he has worked internationally with the Moon Village Association, and as the founder of the Open Space Plane Project and Supernova Labs, the UK's first space-focused smart space. Adam will talk about VR Birmingham, discovering XR with STEAMHouse. The session will take a look at the latest developments in contextualizing an industry update in terms of technologists and developers exploring what is possible with the new platforms that have come out of Facebook and the industry over the past year. Adam, the stage is yours.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Thank you, Andrea. So I'm going to share my screen quickly because I think it's probably best if I am showing a presentation. And then hold on one second. Right, where is it? Sorry, hold on one second. My apologies, my screen setup seems to have been bought a little bit, so I'm going to have to share it from just the presentation. So we like this. Okay, so welcome to this Inspire session. I've kind of adapted it from the way we do VR Birmingham normally, but it should follow a similar format. So this is STEAMHouse. I don't know how many of you have heard about STEAMHouse in the past, but what we are is an innovation centre as part of Birmingham City University, and our role here is to take businesses from around Birmingham and bring a program 12 hours of free business support, and at the end of that they have new processes, new products to market, and we're helping to develop Birmingham's technological know-how through that. Now, we're funded by the ERDF, so we're European Union funded, and through the Arts Council as well. And we're also supported by Eastside Projects, which is an art gallery in Digbeth that do regular shows, so worth checking them out. So thank you for joining us on Teams. Just as a bit of context setting, there's a chat bar that you can use. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, you should have a chat bar, you should have your microphone, you should have all that kind of stuff. If you want to mention some stuff in the chat and have a conversation with us while this is going on, feel free to. It'd be really interesting to hear some of your feedback on what's going on. And beyond that, I hope you enjoy what I've got to speak about. So, beyond what's going on at STEAMHouse, we have traditionally we would have a fabric workshop, a metal workshop, a wood workshop, and a digital workshop with 3D printers and laser cutters. Because part of what we're trying to do when we're bringing businesses in is to bring them through and give them some digital skills enough to build new products. But going into the future, we're actually moving into a building on campus as part of phase 2, which is the new development going on as part of the Birmingham City University campus. Now, we'll have a dedicated workshop there, and part of what we're going to be trying to do is how do we start integrating students into that program, and how do we start bringing their ideas through as businesses. So we'll be integrating with CV in the future. Beyond that, today I'll be giving you an industry update and then a little bit of a VR demo, so something that I think it's probably best, especially if there are people that haven't seen VR headsets before or what happens inside of them, that we start from absolute basics and just be like, okay, well, these are the experiences that you can see inside a headset. So beyond that, the past year has been pretty crazy in terms of AR and VR. There's been a bit of a seismic shift with it, because I started with AR and VR back in 2015 when I had a business called Supernova Labs, and we had a HTC Vive inside of the space, and we were looking at how we could maybe design for industrial design inside the space and how we might use the medium in future. Whereas this year alone has seen nearly $30 million in revenue for Oculus alone through their Oculus Quest platform, which is now completely wireless. And there's recently been the Quest 2 released for under £300, which relative to even 2 years ago, £1,500 was the baseline for getting a headset anywhere near that quality. So now we're kind of seeing VR move into the mainstream with headsets at an affordable level, completely wireless, and with quite a nice catalogue of games to go alongside them and experiences to do industrial design, to extend your desktop virtually, and to, well, pretty much in the way I like to describe it is invert your mind into a digital space. Because there's only so much you can do on a three-dimensional screen. When you move into reality, you have a whole other dimension, and you can draw and position things as you like inside that space as well. So Facebook's recently had their Facebook Connect event, where they've been going through a lot of the updates for the hardware and the software surrounding the Oculus Quest. And there's some really interesting stuff coming out of it, where training, people are seeing up to 4 times the improvement through training people through VR as through traditional means, but also so far as creating social applications. So they actually ran Facebook Connect through a virtual app, and people could join and interact with one another inside that space. There's been quite a massive development in social VR over this year, with VR chat coming into its own. They've been bought out, and the release of their scripting platform, Udon. So now I'll show you VR chat in a minute, but it basically enables developers to build worlds and script on top of it. So you can have far more high fidelity experiences inside the same platform. So with that, I'm going to jump into VR and show you what's going on from inside there. So if you give me 2 seconds, if you have any questions, please jump them in the chat while I'm getting myself set up. Okay, fabulous. Can you guys see what I can see? Any feedback, please?
Yes, we can.
Fabulous. I'll close that a second. So what I need is...
Guess now we can.
Okay, fabulous. So this is the inside of the Quest as the... Hold on a second, let's look at this. Okay. Right, there we go. So this is the inside of the Quest. You actually boot into a room of your own choosing.
Sorry, Adam, but we cannot see. I think you closed it.
Let's see now.
Pardon? Oh, blimey, pardon me. Okay. There we go. Okay, fabulous. Right, so you can see what I can see.
Yes.
Fabulous. Okay, so this is the inside of the Quest. You can see you get a room that you can design to your own choosing. So if I just jump out of here quickly, you know, let me. Bear with me. Okay, so I'm in my home right now, so I can move anything around. You can take assets, you can move them around and stick them in the orientation of your own choosing. Jump over there for now. So you can change these environments to whatever you like. I've chosen an environment like this, so you get 3D parallax with this as well. So I can see the depth and the distance. You can see these ships in the distance as the correct distance that you see them. But also, you can design a space to your own liking. And there are tools to build applications which are a little bit more fun. So I'll call this. Fabulous. Okay. So I'm not here to have too much fun. I think what I need to do for you guys is to show you. If I push my home button. Okay. So I'm having a little bit of difficulty getting back to where I need to be. Maybe a way around this. Okay, pardon me. I'm going to have to reboot this. My apologies for this.
बात करेंगे बट अगर तुम्हें जो अनस्पोकन चीज होती है जो लोग आते जाती हैं
Pardon? Okay, there we go. So this is what that was having a bit of an issue here because this menu is basically the portal to everything. So continuing from where we were, I want to show you a few basic experiences to give you an idea about the scale and the capabilities of this platform. So something that I've always found really interesting is Google Earth because it's just mind-blowing to see the Earth at the scale it actually is. Okay, so you can see we open up over a beautiful canyon. In the middle of Arizona. Now what I can do is tilt the world up and start scaling out. You see we're leaving Arizona now. Getting an idea of the scale of this all now. Leaving Utah. And now we can see America. Pulling back until we have the whole Earth in view. So this is it. You have the whole Earth at your fingertips. So I can swing this round. Oh, I can also change the time of day as well. Let's make it midday. Let's see if I can find where we are. Zooming in on Birmingham. You can see as we get closer, it progressively renders in, increasing complex tiles until we're right over the city centre. So you can see here we've got the Bullring, got New Street. You can see off to the side there we've got the Cube. So let's flip the world back down so you can see things as they are. So here we are at scale. We've got the whole Earth underneath us. One thing I found this is really useful for is when I've moved to a new city. It's really good to have a look around and like you can see a lot of different stuff, like where all the green areas are that you wouldn't necessarily know where they are relative to on Google Maps. So I think what's best is if I show you guys where we are right now, where we were until we moved back to Millennium Point. So if I zoom myself in here, so this is the Bullring here, and the cathedral, we head down Digbeth, past the police station, and here we are at STEAMHouse. Now, it's not in a great shape right now, and I think it's pretty reflective of the current state of the building, how it's looking right now. But what I also have is I have access to Street View. So if I pull this up to my head, I can see how it is. And I've got a full 360-degree view here. I can start carrying on down the road. But I think what's more fun is flying. So one thing you can do is you can change to fixed human scale. So now I stay the same size, but I can fly. So let's try and find where we are right now. Fly around the streets. Okay, and here we are. This is the Belmont Works. Now this is a grade 2 listed building that we're redeveloping as part of the phase 2 project. So this whole building will be STEAMHouse, CV, and just another part of the university. You can see the university's behind us now. Let's go for a little fly now. Down the road. To Millennium Point. So this is where STEAMHouse currently is now. We've had to evacuate the building over in Digbeth because of flooding. We've set up a bureau where we'll be able to provide some like basic 3D printing services. And what we're going to do is start shipping out experience boxes, where you'll be able to get small experiences about like mold making and also 3D printing and Fusion 360, but one that I'm working on in particular is XR. So we'll be packaging up a Google Cardboard and little scanning mat so you can scan some small objects and bring them into augmented reality in this, and also use them as 3D assets in virtual reality, like Google's using 3D assets for these buildings. So this is Google Earth. You can go anywhere in the world here. But I think the best thing to show you is something called Google Blocks. So Google did a lot of work in the focus. Oh, this is breaking my flow. I have to reboot again. Oh no, that should work. There we go. Okay. There we go. So Google was doing a lot of work in the early days about how people might use these kind of platforms to build. So you can see now my controls have changed. Tutorial, I'll be doing that for you. So we've got a whole different bunch of tools here that we can work with, and a shape on my thing, so I can move that around. I've got my trigger here as well, so if I pull the trigger, I can pull out a shape. And then another. Let's make it 3. So I can also use the shoulder buttons here and here to move the world around and change its scale. Or even make it quite large. So I'm not limited to squares as well. There are cylinders, just basic primitives, enough to get a basic idea of shape and form. Now, one of the benefits of it, I don't know if any of you have used CAD before, but moving vertices and doing like messing around with meshes on the fly, not that easy. Whereas here, I have a pair of pliers, I can grab a node and just start moving out the shape as I need it. Okay. Now, we can also paint this. Maybe we're not happy with this one. So I can grab that and chuck it away. So you're also not limited by what you can build. There's also a whole social platform associated with this as well. So you can grab other people's assets and bring them into your scene. Make that a bit larger. And you can also share them out. This is Google has a whole poly platform where they've been sharing out these kind of low poly models that people built inside the platform. It was a lot of it's open source, so it's really good for sketching out scenes really early if you're developing an AR experience. So that's blocks. I'm hoping. Something happened. Okay, let's kill walls. So just beyond that, you get an idea of time, we're good. There's some more high fidelity applications for doing some CAD work. So this is something that I've been using personally called Gravity Sketch. And this is a little bit more on the pro side of things. It's come in over the past couple of years and really come into its own very recently when there's actually a standalone application that you can use on the Quest. So it's completely wireless and you have a full space that you can inhabit and just draw in the same way that you saw on blocks, but with a lot more control. And you're seeing a lot more industrial designers starting to use this as a means of just sketching out lines that they take into CAD or might even 3D print straight from this. So while we're waiting for this to boot up, has anybody got any questions? So I'll show you guys VR chat in a minute. I think you'll begin to see where it can like really come into its own. So this is all loaded up now. I'm going to jump back in. So this is Gravity Sketch. Again, this is all in real time. So I can pull that a bit closer. And you can see people have already started doing some design work. So these are things that people have already designed themselves. So I'm going to open up this one. And this is a model of a BMW. Hopefully this should load up. Here we go. And you can see my controls have changed again. I've got a whole bunch of tools. There's not really a set standard for how the controllers are mapped between each experience. So typically it's a lot of like button mashing to try and work out how like what's changed and where all the tools are. But you can see here, I can move the world around the same way, scale things down, and you can see somebody's built the lines for this car. Now, we're not limited by just this. So we have a whole bunch of tools in a similar way. So here we go, we have our primitives here as we saw in blocks, but also a volume tool. So I can take this volume tool, and if I draw out, it follows my controller, and I have a full 3D object from what I've drawn. So I can grab that now, I can manipulate that, I can change the size of it. I don't know what I'd do with that, I'm going to leave that one there for now, just let that one sit. But you can also look at surfaces. So now, you can see when I pull my trigger, I have a line that I'm holding between my hands. What I can do is, if I pull that right down here, next to the car, and pull the other trigger, and follow the line up, I have a bonnet. But I mean, it's not really like a bonnet though. You can see there's it's not in the right place, like the curvature's all wrong, and it's like not that great. It wouldn't be that great if you were to put it into a production car. So I'm going to grab that. You can see there's this little node thing that's appeared here on my thing. I can tap that, and now I have full control over the curvature of that shape. So I can pull that down to the bonnet. Let's pull this down as well. You can see I can match the lines of something an industrial designer might have drawn before me. So very simply, you can get an idea of shape and form, and then send this off to a designer as a 3D model that then they might want to pull out and 3D print for themselves. So there's a whole bunch of powerful tools in here. Beyond that, you have this revolve tool as well, which follows the world line. So suppose I wanted to encase this. We pull out a big shape here. I can just go inside. And we can still see our car. So this is Gravity Sketch. So I'm going to kill that process. And finally, we have VR chat. Which I'm hoping will load for us. Maybe not having it. Okay. What I'm going to do is try one more time. Okay. Right, that's not working for me, so there's another way of doing it. So a lot of headsets originally, they integrate VR. Now, Steam VR is a platform that basically works as a middleware between a whole bunch of different headsets. You have the HTC Vive, you have the HP G2, and the way this works is it creates another world similar to the Oculus software. But another springboard for other pieces of software that maybe Oculus haven't connected in with. There's a whole debate going on right now about the way that Oculus are working, because they've decided to go quite closed source, similar to the way Apple work with their iPhones. So it can be quite difficult to get software onto the headsets. It can be quite difficult to get them working properly. So Steam VR is more of a professional, but also open source means of getting these kind of experiences working. So you can see you boot into a similar world like the Oculus room, but there's a lot more. There's a whole bunch of different stuff. You should definitely, if you get the chance to use a VR headset, I implore you to explore it on your own time. You can see I've got a bunch of games installed as well, which are also phenomenal. But today I want to show you VR chat. So this is a social VR application. The way that it works is it's like a networked experience. I mean, I'm not going to jump into any experiences where we're talking to other people right now, because there can be a bit, some experiences can be a bit weird if you're not speaking to the right people, you haven't got friends that you know already. But something that I wanted to show to you guys today are the extent of the worlds that are available. So because there is this open source Udon scripting pipeline for VR chat, it allows people to build worlds as demonstrators. So here I am, so you can see I actually get an avatar. So here I am as a little fox, where are you guys? But you can see we've got all of these little experiences around us that go around mathematical objects. So these are all objects that you couldn't really understand without the means of VR to make it a little bit more intuitive and show you guys in a little bit more detail. So you can see I barely reached this. I'm not that tall in this world. But you can see we can explore fractals. Or even, you can see around here, there is this strange attractor. This is a mathematical object is showing chaos in motion, but I can grab this and I become gravitationally attracted to this thing and start flying around it. Which is all good fun when you're working in groups. So this these servers can hold anywhere up to 30 people, and you can have people messing around with a whole bunch of different things in there. But something that I want to show you guys in particular. So these are all the worlds that are available. They do take a while to load, but you'll see there are hundreds and hundreds of worlds, actually thousands even. So I have some worlds saved already under here. So let's get an idea of time. Okay, so I will show you this museum. So I'm going to create a new instance of that world, make it invite only, so we're not going to get any rude interruptions, and head in. So you can see these worlds are on the order of about 200 megabytes at the most. Unfortunately, you do have to download each one individually when you do go to one, but eventually you can end up with quite a library of experiences to go on. And there are websites online that map all of the virtual worlds that you can go and visit. And they range from everything from cyberpunk cities to fantasy islands to worlds where you can fly like a bird. And it really begins to underscore like what the capabilities of VR will be in the future. I mean, this is VR chat is from 2017, and you can see here this is a museum that has been completely mapped using photogrammetry. As you can see, I'm still a little fox, so that's why I'm so small relative to everything. But we can actually go through doors and explore the.
I know.
And the whole ethos behind this is that the people who own this museum knew that there would be very little chance that anybody would come to this museum in the real world. So they thought if they uploaded it to VR, it would become far more accessible. And this is actually now one of the most popular worlds in VR chat because it's just so fascinating to see all of this at the scale it is. And they've gone and put a little bit of additional effects inside of it just to make it a little bit more homely with this little fireplace. So that's a very brief introduction to this world. I definitely implore you to look at your own time. But something that's really interesting recently, so you've been getting some people that have been making virtual reality art. And they've been using applications like Gravity Sketch and like Google Blocks to build giant 3D pieces of art that then they're selling on the blockchain using Ethereum. And this is actually a website called SuperRare that people use to auction off those pieces for cryptocurrency. And you can see they have a virtual world in which you can actually go and experience some of the art pieces. So you can walk into a portal and it'll carry you on to the next world. Now, as time goes on, these portals will get a little bit faster, and like as internet speeds increase, like they will reach a point where you don't even need them. People are looking into how you can use non-Euclidean geometry. So you can have, let's say, a door, but on the other side of the door there's a different world, and you can look behind the door and it's just a door frame. So you can use these kind of cheats to offset the amount of time it takes to load all these worlds by having these thresholds. And how these thresholds develop is something that is on the bleeding edge of this whole industry right now. Okay, so you can see here in a world, there's a bunch of art exhibits around. It's all very vaporwave. You can see this was at the time, just at the beginning of COVID, when they started printing out all of the money to keep America afloat. And people have made this like supreme, printing out all these $100 bills. But one in particular that I wanted to show you was this one here, this bug creature. So this is by a guy called Metageist, called Lee Mason. He's actually based in the UK. And we've actually got a talk from Lee Mason happening at STEAMHouse on November the 3rd. So if you check on the website, you'll be able to sign up there. And he'll be doing a full talk about how he builds these kind of creatures in Gravity Sketch and brings them out into SuperRare to sell them. So you can see as we move a little bit closer, inside of that sphere, I know, if you put your head inside it, there's actually music that plays as well, so it becomes a full immersive art exhibit. There's another one here. So there's another guy here who makes 3D models, but then what he'll do is he'll unzip the 3D meshes and then then draw on top of them before recompiling the whole thing, and you end up with these kind of art exhibits that then he rigs up and animates. And this is the bleeding edge of what is possible inside of VR right now. So with that, I'm going to come back out, and if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to take them. So don't be shy. If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. I'll start tackling the ones in the chat, and then take your questions as they come in. So Lubna Lawn was asking, is this in real time? Yeah, it was in real time. The whole thing was just being pushed from the Quest to, so the way that I have it set up at the minute, I have my Quest plugged into my computer, and my computer has an application that just mirrors what I see inside that world. Now, with that Quest as well, I could also disconnect it and work in free space, but with the Quest, there are limitations on the hardware because it's based on phone hardware, so it's actually more powerful to use your computer. So with VR chat, yes, coming back to Hannah's question, I have seen people start using these for group work, and there are applications now available for the Quest, like Spatial, that allow you to, that are professionally focused. Like, it basically works. I don't know if any of you have used Miro and like the way of like doing sticky notes in digital. It works very much like that. So you inhabit a space in virtual reality, but you can do all the sticky notes on the board. You can push your screen out to it. People can call in with their webcam, and you can have them there as a little TV screen inside that world. So collaborative tools are really at the beginning of what these collaborative tools can produce. And you can write in physical space. I didn't show you there, but there are tools there to just free sketch, and you can write in 3D. So another question from Hannah, can those without VR interact on these platforms with somebody who is using VR, like the car drawing or imported by somebody who drew it not in VR? So you images. Something I've been doing recently is taking old blueprints into virtual reality, because what they do is they have sections of, I'm working with planes, so you have a front-on section, a side-on section, and a bunch of sections throughout the fuselage. So it allows you to build up the 3D model yourself. So you basically position the picture in space, draw on top of it, move it to the next point, draw on top of that, and you end up at the end of this with this full 3D object. So you can take 2D images and build them into 3D, but you can also take these 3D models and export them and open them in any CAD package, games engine that you want. So I could take that car, for example, pull that out, put it into Unity, and build a game around it if I wanted to. A question from Andrea. What do you think the strongest limitation of VR interaction and visual fidelity is at the minute? Okay, interesting. So there's been, I think the Quest has been limited by its hardware. However, the Quest 2 that's come out is actually now the best headset on the market in terms of the resolution that's available, but also the processing power that's available on board. So you can actually run full VR experiences on the Oculus Quest 2 completely wireless without even needing an additional computer. People are also looking to hand tracking. So I couldn't show you today because it's difficult to get the Quest to pair up to my laptop and get that streaming over. But people are beginning to bring their hands into the experience. And there are other VR chat worlds where people are developing a form of sign language inside of virtual reality. So the Valve Index recently came out this year. We were actually planning on getting some for STEAMHouse, but the Quest 2 coming out, it actually beats out the Valve Index in terms of its capabilities because it's untethered. Does anybody else have any questions? Remember, if you do have questions and you're trying to use your microphone to ask them, you are muted, so like make sure to unmute yourself beforehand. So Kamaljit is asking, for somebody who's just started out with VR, what would you recommend in terms of initial equipment and software? So up until the Quest 2 came out, I would have said either, well, it obviously depends on your budget. It always does. The lowest cost solution right now is the Quest 2, which has just come out now and has the highest capability by far. But beyond that, there are a whole bunch of solutions available out there, from the Pico to the HP G2. It depends on your use case. But if you're coming at it from a professional standpoint, then maybe there are expectations of a certain type of hardware, like the HTC Vive or like the Valve Index, that are understood. The controllers are understood, and you can bring that into a booth, and people would understand how to work with that. Whereas I've always been on the side of just go with what's the best available at the minute, and yeah, it's really difficult not to recommend the Quest 2. Lubna, you can actually email me. So what I'll do is I'm going to drop my email into the chat for you, and if you want to get in touch afterwards, just email me. Thoughts on best. So Jay's asking, thoughts on best practices for keeping visitors safe using VR at location-based venues. Are UV light clean boxes, wipes, and oh, I see. In terms of safety regarding the headsets. Right. So this is the bane of my existence right now, is trying to work out this problem. So the way that Oculus have gone about designing these headsets, given the current context, is they have designed the headsets as one device for one user. Now, we haven't been able to get any further than that for the past 6 months. And we are planning on doing white papers to manage the cleanliness of it. There are silicone pads that you can put that interface with the face. There are actually these breathable masks you can get, like, you know, the masks that we're all wearing. You can also get masks for the eyes with like little slots in that you put on, and stops you actually touching the device, touching the device touching your face. Beyond that, part of why we're developing these boxes now is that we're putting these Google Cardboards inside of it that allows you to work with your own hardware, so your phone, but it's also completely disposable. So we can give you these Google Cardboards. There's no risk of anybody running away with the hardware or any safety afterwards, because it's made out of cardboard. The point is, it's supposed to be thrown away. Does anybody else have any questions? Andrea, Zoe?
No. Yes.
Well, fabulous. Thank you very much for listening to what I've got to say. And I'm sorry about some of the technical difficulties I had.
No, thank you very much.
I hope to get an idea of what I wanted to show you guys today.
Yeah. Really good. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining.